how do you like your chances, and why do you want the job?
Well, first off, I think we're going to win. Here's why I want the job. I want Trump's agenda passed. I've been up here 6 years, and I watched Republican leadership not get Trump's agenda done. Now, what's his agenda? Number one, he's got to get his nominees done. So we've got to figure out how to do that, because what's going to happen is the Democrats, Schumer's going to try to lead the effort to slow down all those nominees. So Trump's people can't staff his agencies. It doesn't make any sense to me, but that's exactly what Schumer's going to do. So number one, we've got to figure out how we get his nominees in place. Number two is there's legislation he's going to need passed. We've got to do a tax plan through reconciliation, which takes 51 votes. So we got to have a plan to get that done, and we got to corral 51 votes together to make sure that happens. There's going to be other legislation that we're going to need Democrats. We're going to have to figure out how do we bring Democrats into the fold to get something done, and we have to get the House. So I've got a great working relationship with President Trump, with the Speaker in the House, with the fiscal conservatives in the House, with Steve Scalise, Tom Emmer, the leaders in the House. So, and I'm a business guy. So in business, here's what you do. You say, what do I want to get done? How do you build it? You build a team. You write a plan. You set up a timeline. Who's responsible? You measure it, and then you get your stuff done. You just constantly are doing this. And that I built the biggest hospital company in the world. I built a bunch of manufacturing companies. So this is what you do as a business guy. This is how business guys get their stuff done. And that's what Donald Trump needs. He needs a business guy running the Senate so we can get Donald Trump's agenda done. And that's why I want the job.
Now, End Wokeness, which is a great account on X, quoting the Heritage Foundation statistics, says Cornyn has a 64% conservative score, Thune has a 62% conservative score, and you have a 95% conservative score. And this Twitter account pointing out, this isn't a hard decision, folks. He's apparently on your side. But the pushback from their backers is, but what you really need is not somebody who is the most conservative or the most pro-Trump. What you really need is somebody who knows how to work the Senate to get the votes, right? The important thing is to be well-liked and to be able to maneuver. And are you the best guy for that piece of the job?
I believe so. If you think about how you build companies, you work with people. So think about this. When I was 40, I had bankers. So I had to deal with. I had millions and millions of shareholders. I had probably something like 37 analysts on Wall Street that followed my stock. I had a board of directors. I had 285,000 employees. I had 150,000 customers a day. So you have to figure out how to get along with all those groups to get something done. Same thing in everything I've done. When I was governor of Florida, we cut taxes and fees 100 times. We became number one in higher education. We became top 5 in K-12 education, 47-year low in our crime rate. All those things was the same thing. What's your plan? What's your team? How you're going to get it done, and how you're going to measure yourself. And so that's what this job is. It's how do you create a process to get these things done. But number one, you've got to be absolutely committed to getting it done. And I'm absolutely committed to getting Trump nominees through, and I'm absolutely committed to getting Trump's agenda done.
Some say, okay, there's been a lot of tweeting by your supporters. Tucker, we read his tweet yesterday. Elon's backing you, and many, many others. And the pushback from the more establishment type publications is, well, they're not going to like that. The senators are not going to appreciate that, Senator Scott, that they're going to say he's pushing us. You know, his supporters are pushing us, and we are U.S. senators. And we do not take kindly to a pressure campaign and its secret ballot, which is kind of, I don't know, it's a little messed up that it's secret ballot, I think. I don't understand why people can't just come out and say who they're voting for, because aren't they responsible to their constituents for who they put in leadership? But in any event, what do you make of that? Are you concerned about possible pushback to what some may perceive as pressure?
Well, number one, I think it ought to be an open ballot. We ought to know how we're going to tell everybody how we're going to vote. Everybody knows when I vote for a judge or vote against a judge. So that's number one. Number two is, we're U.S. senators. We're supposed to represent people. We're supposed to get feedback. That's why I have 9 offices in Florida. 1, to help them. 2, to get feedback. That's why, I make it easy for people either to email me or text or call the office. I want feedback from people. So my experience up here is people want to get feedback. Of course, you like everybody to agree with you, but they're not going to. So, but my job is, I got elected to represent people and to tell them how I'm doing it and to be consistent with what I told them when I was campaigning. I just went through a campaign. I told people what I was going to do. And now my job is to go do everything I can to make sure that happens and take all the feedback that people want to give me. But I'm very appreciative of all the support I've gotten from Tucker Carlson, Elon Musk, and Robert Kennedy, Laura Trump. So I'm blessed with a lot of support, and I'm very appreciative of all that support.
Trump himself has not yet said who he's backing, if anyone. I think he's wisely trying to keep good relationships with everybody because he doesn't know how it's going to come out. What's your thought on Mitch McConnell? I know that he's not very popular among the MAGA base. We know this, though he's been hugely instrumental in getting these 3 Supreme Court justices of Trump confirmed and so many judges on the federal bench, which is something I watch as somebody who's into the courts. But what's your thought on him? Because there's been a lot of blowback against him and also a suggestion that this vote is taking place too soon.
Well, number one, I ran against Mitch McConnell 2 years ago. I think the way the Senate operates has to change. There's been 2 dictatorships in the Senate, on the Republican side, Mitch McConnell, and the Democrat side, Chuck Schumer. I believe we got to treat all senators as equal. We've got to listen to them. We've got to let our bills go through committee. We need to have a robust amendment process, and we've got to help.
Let me just stop you there, because the average person doesn't know what that means. So the way he gets legislation through versus what you're saying you would like to do, explain that.
Well, he and Schumer would just sit down and negotiate themselves. We just did a continuing resolution, which I completely opposed. We shouldn't be doing those. And it was done between Mitch McConnell and Chuck Schumer without the input of every senator. They expect us to vote on this. We ought to have some say in it. They're going to try to cram an omnibus down our throat. It's not going to go through a committee. We're not going to be allowed to have any amendments to try to make it better. They're just going to say, nope, this is your stuck, vote up or vote down. That's all it is. Last year, they did this at Christmas. Over $1 trillion, gave it to us at 1:30 in the morning. Schumer and McConnell gave it to us, expected us to vote on it by 9 o'clock in the morning that nobody ever read. So it ought to go through a committee. A bill ought to go through a committee where there's plenty of input from outside speakers, from experts, and let other senators say, oh, no, I can make it better with this amendment or this amendment. And then we ought to bring it to the floor. And we ought to have a robust amendment process to say, oh, no, I think we ought to change it this way or that way. And what's been happening since I've been up here 6 years, is either McConnell or Schumer, they'll decide on their own a bill. They'll bring it to the floor, won't even go through a committee. We'll have no amendment votes. So my only choice is to say, either I like it or I don't like it. I can't improve it. So it makes it, so it's like we're just little robots here. So I think you should respect everybody. Everybody worked their butt to get here. We represent our states. I represent Florida. I respect everybody's vote. Vote to represent your state.
For those of us holding our breath for the past several months, we can finally exhale. The sky seems a little bluer, doesn't it? Work can finally be done on the major issues this country's facing, one of the most significant being our national debt. The fact is, our nation's broke. And that debt is a house of cards that cannot be quickly dismantled. So the strategy remains the same. You might want to diversify your savings. This is why I want to tell you about Birch Gold. So many things are out of our control, out of our president's control for that matter. So it can be important to have a safe haven for your savings. Birch Gold Group can help you convert an IRA or 401k into an IRA in physical gold. And the best news is it does not cost you 1 cent out of pocket. Just text MK to 989898 to get your free info kit. Plus, right now, through Black Friday, you're going to receive a free 1-ounce silver eagle coin for every $5,000 purchased. Protect your savings with Birch Gold. Text MK to 989898 and claim your eligibility for free silver today. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.